The only way to stand out now is to lean into being yourself and offer something slightly different. I just like experimenting and having fun. Like I did one the other day with a slinky, and I put my camera at the bottom, set it on a timer, and pulled the slinky up to my eye. Seen a lot of people recently on LinkedIn like, oh my God, look at this amazing ad that I've done in 5 seconds. And I look at it, I'm like, are we seeing the same thing here? That's not me putting out, selling what I do at all. The leads have come from having a conversation about a cucumber. I can only just be me, and I can't put on a front. It just doesn't work, just comes across awkward. Oh, you really put me on the spot here. I'll throw one out there, super random.
Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to the Solo Sauce podcast. My name is Yuri, and on this channel, I have honest conversations with people who work for themselves, sharing stories, insights, lessons learned, and things that you can take forward on your own solo journey. On today's episode, I am joined by Jack Ralph, who is a content producer helping business owners find out what the right content is for them. Not by copying everybody else, like often happens, but rather leaning into what already makes them unique. We talk about creativity, personal branding, and the power of a cucumber on LinkedIn. Stick around to the end. We'll leave you with a thought or two, but for now, enjoy this episode with Jack Ralph. Well, weird things seems to be the thing that connects you and I, because I first saw your post pop up of your beautiful selfies from random angles on LinkedIn, and I thought that was really kind of weird and wonderful, and always a bit odd. How did you come up with that? Is that something that just started someday, or?
I think I've just always, like, I did photography at A level and stuff, and I've just always just liked being silly. It's kind of like a bit of a class clown thing. Like I remember we had a sports. It was like a dress-up thing at school where you could dress up as sports people or whatever, and people would wear football shirts and all that sort of stuff. I come in like leg warmers, like old school, like 80s workout sort of stuff, because I don't mind making a fool of myself. I'll happily do that to give other people a laugh, make them feel a bit more comfortable. And I just thought there's so many people that just take the selfies just like, I've got this beautiful background or whatever. And they all just blend into one. But sometimes when you're shooting from like under here, you're like, what? I don't even know what I'm looking at sometimes. Like I've even taken some pictures myself, and I'm like, I know what I've taken, but it doesn't even look like that. So it's just something to just stand out in. I think on LinkedIn, it's really quite easy to stand out because it is quite a dull platform, and a lot of people are just taking basic selfies or whatever, so you just have a little bit of creativity with it. I just like experimenting and having fun.
Quick one, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure that you leave a like, leave a comment, or share this episode with somebody who needs to see it. All right, let's get back into it.
Like I did one the other day with a slinky, and I put my camera at the bottom, set it on a timer, and pulled the slinky up to my eye. Or looking through I've got like an hourglass, and it's just like, just playing with it. Oh, how does it like warp my face, and how do I get all these cool angles, and just something a bit more creative.
And where does that come from in your life? I mean, you said something about being a bit of a class clown. Yeah, you're trying to be funny, I guess, to other kids. I was a bit like that as well, by the way. It was my way of just, one, being a bit of a nuisance to teachers, but also getting a laugh, it's all for the laugh from other people. Where does it come from you? Like, is your family like that, or is it something that shaped you when you were a kid? Or
all our family, like, are big jokers. Like, we'll all rip it out of each other, just taking the mick out of each other all the time. We've got a very like dark sense of humor. Like, pretty much nothing's off limits. Like we'll find the funny in anything, because I think a lot of the time it's easy to get sad or upset by certain things, but if you can just find that little bit of joy in it, I think it's quite important, because it just breaks the tension a bit, and it just, life's too serious as it is. So I think if you can have that sort of fun, I quite enjoy making people laugh, making people feel good. It's like a nice feeling for me as well, I suppose. I've been able to get that reaction out of people to make them feel like that. So I think that's probably where I come from. I think it's quite an easy way to sort of make friends, make acquaintances, having a laugh. Like, you're the funny random guy. It's quite easy to get on with people, and like, even I feel a lot of sort of anxiety, and socially I'm a bit awkward and stuff. I think that's sort of my mask of I'll do the silly, crazy thing to mask maybe how I'm feeling a bit more sort of anxious in the situation or whatever.
I think many people can relate to that as well. It can be a bit of a mask, but it can also work in your favor because, like I said, your post definitely caught my attention, but not just my attention because I'm just another guy on LinkedIn, but it caught the attention of quite a few people because I think the question I had with your content is, what are you trying to get out of it, and is it working for you? Let me ask you that then.
So for me, at this precise moment, I feel like I'm massively playing catch up because I never really used LinkedIn. There's people that have been on there for years, tens of thousands of followers and stuff. So I'm playing catch up. And I think what's really important for sort of small businesses is a lot of the time, solopreneurs and stuff, they just start trying to sort of sell and stuff a lot on LinkedIn and like, here's my service, here's my service, here's my service. And I think if you keep doing that, people eventually sort of drown out to it. I probably go too far the other way where I'm less salesy because it feels easier to me. I'm a bit of a reluctant solopreneur. I don't want to sort of be in this situation, have to sell my services. I'd rather someone see what I do and then come to me and go, oh, I'd really like that. So that's sort of my thinking behind it. I do need to get better on the salesy sort of side of it. But I just feel when you're new and you've got no followers or anything like that, you're just shouting out into the void, and it takes a while before you start finding people that like what you're saying, resonate with what you're saying. And a big thing for me has been sort of finding a community around myself. Like there's so many people like yourself, people like Becky Fountain that I've connected with, and it just feels more of like a community. Like I've been posting stuff out and people start engaging with it, and it helps you get that little bit of boost to begin with. It gives something for someone to respond to. Also, like to get yourself across. I am not a great salesperson. I don't sell my service as well. I feel like I sell myself better. And I think once people get to know me and my style, and then you'll sort of know if you want to work with me or not. Like I know I'm not for everyone, but I can only be me. And if that puts people off, that's fine. But if you want to work with me, cool. Like we'll have a laugh. Like we'll be swearing on the calls and whatever, because that's just who I am. It just makes it easy to connect with people. It's a longer play. But like I did that post randomly about a cucumber.
There's a funny story about it. First of all, how did you come up with it, and what's the story behind it, and where did it go?
To be honest, it's again another one of like, I need a post for tomorrow. Looked around, and I was in the kitchen. I just saw this cucumber and just picked it up, took a silly photo with it. It got like 180,000 impressions, thousands of comments, like hundreds of like likes and things. The hill that I die on is that I hate cucumbers. They ruin everything that they touch. Chopping boards, if it's in a sandwich, like just it's ruined. The taste is everywhere. So I just did a silly post like that, and it went a bit crazy, and I've had leads off the back of that. That's not me putting out selling what I do at all. The leads have come from having a conversation about a cucumber. So yeah. Yes, it's not going to work for everyone, and obviously leads are the best thing. If you can just do a post and you get one impression and that impression is a lead, that's what you want. But I'm playing a bigger game of trying to get more eyes on me and get people to know who I am, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people underestimate that game. Let's call it a game. I think a lot of people underestimate that. I think many people right now are tired of people selling, like being just very, very salesy. I personally hate it when they're pretending not to be, but they clearly are. Like I'd rather have somebody just say, "Look, I'm going to try to sell you something." I have more respect for that, you know. But I think what you're saying is, I think a lot of people can relate to that. First of all, you said I'm not a salesy kind of person. I think many people think that you know, they think that sales is something. It's a bit of a dirty word for some people, and I don't think it has to be. So my point of view is, particularly when you are a solopreneur, where you work for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you're a freelancer, whatever you want to call yourself, you kind of are the brand. People want to work with you if they can connect with you, because you are showing a bit of storytelling, a bit of creativity. You're putting yourself out there, which shows that you got some balls as well. Like all those things matter. Those are all things that if I wanted to find out a bit more about what it's like to work with you, I can already tell a couple of things from how you post. Too many people underestimate that. And it can really work in your favor, like in your case. So
Yeah,
what kind of leads came out of that? Were people saying, love the cucumber, tell me more about it, because you're a graphic designer and a content producer. Did people draw that link?
So they reached out about sort of video content, sort of video strategy, and helping with video content. And I don't know, they must have dived into my profile afterwards. Yeah, we had a chat about cucumbers, and that I just sort of left it at that. I wasn't pushing anything. So I think they've probably gone onto my profile, had a little look down on some of the stuff I've done.
Realize you're not selling cucumbers.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not a cucumber wholesaler.
I think many people don't know how to speak about themselves. So every time I work with somebody, in whatever the context is, we always start with, so what do you actually do? Because once you can articulate that, you fit within a box. And I tell many people, even if you can do multiple things, you can do a bit of this, a bit of that. It's when people get a bit older, they get some experience, they're probably more multifaceted than we think. But it's very hard because people do want to put you in a box. They do want to go, Jack Ralph equals this. And I think that helps, because if that's not clear, they will never go look up. They never know what to look for you for.
Yeah, I think I need to work on it a bit better. Like I'm still sort of started building it since January. Need to get better on messaging, getting clearer on what I actually do, because I've been to a few networking events. And they're like, so what do you do? I go like video stuff, like edit it. Like I'm still trying to work out like who my ideal client is and all that. And I think it comes from not having that entrepreneurial experience. Like I said, I'm reluctant to do it. Like all the marketing, all the websites, all the messaging, creating content. It's just a never ending thing. And obviously with AI, we all thought, oh, this will speed us up. We'll have loads more time, whatever. And it's just more noise, and it's just freeing up that time for you to then fill with a load of other tasks that it's a continual treadmill of constant things you need to get to all the time. And it's working out which ones work best for you at what time, basically.
And how do you do that? How do you then balance that? Or how do you prioritize? Like, what goes on in your mind? Do you have any structure to your day, week, month? What are you looking for?
Honestly, I'm like the least organized person ever. Like some people are creative and organized. I think like I can see you've got loads of post-it notes everywhere. I think you've got a lot going on and you like to get it out and organize it all. I've just got a lot going on in here, and I just try and prioritize what's most important at the moment. I need to get back into creating more of my own content, but it's then like, oh, I've got to work out what I want to make, what the sort of scripting is, finding time to do it. Usually client work is my top priority, and then trying to get more client work at the moment. Everything else I'll sort out as I go. A lot of the time I'll pass it on to Future Jack for him to deal with.
And everybody wants to appear very organized, very structured, but many people just aren't. And right now, the other reality is it's a bit rough out there, right? People are really struggling to get in work, to get a response, to get engagement. It's just incredibly hard. And many of these listeners here will have the same thing, where they might think that everybody else on a place like LinkedIn, as you know, people look amazing, the 5 a.m. club, and then, I just land another 100K deal before breakfast. Most of them are full of shit, let's be honest. I mean, most of them are just not being very honest. It is rough out there, but you putting yourself out there first and foremost, I think it can really change the game. I mean, your tagline says, be real, be bold. What does that mean to you, to be real and to be bold then?
It's like the anti what you say, like the fake, I made 6 figures in this, blah, blah. They never explain how the 6 figures are, how long it took them to get to that point. Like no one is ever really truthful in what they're saying. I can only just be me, and I can't put on a front. It just doesn't work, just comes across awkward. I've had many a sales call where I'm honest with them, like, this is the bit I hate. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm not great at this. Like, I'll do my best work. I'll give you the best price I can for it, but this is not my forte, sort of thing. And I think because people have that preconceived notion of me, like through my content and stuff, they kind of know that maybe it is a bit sort of messy, whatever, but they want to work with me for the sort of more creative sort of side of it. I know probably in the future I need to be a bit more productized, but I just think I need to be a bit more flexible to help people. I want to help people create content that fits into their lifestyle the best, and I don't think a one size fits all works all the time. And like I know from myself, I could be more organized probably if I tried and was like, right, look, I'm going to sit down and plan out all this sort of content, and yes, I'm going to shoot in this day and all that. But I find it a bit sort of restrictive. That's why a lot of my posts are just crazy and out there, because I just go with the flow and just sort of see what happens. And I think it gives me the freedom and allows that sort of creativity to come out a bit more. And that's the sort of vibe that I want to give off to other people.
And you're definitely giving off that vibe. And I get you on the creativity side. I've run a creative agency for years. I work with lots of people who are creatives. There is a lot of creativity in those restrictions, in those kind of, you got 2 minutes to come up with something. What are you going to do? Look around the room, you're going to do a presentation, pick up an item. That's going to be your point of stimulus. Here's 3 words on a piece of paper, now write an article around that one. There's like, those are lovely things that create the space for you to be creative. And I think many people underestimate that. And I think it comes out of your posts. That's why they're so random. But that's why I love the fact that they took off. So getting back for a second to the cucumber post, and everybody, if you haven't watched it, go on LinkedIn, find Jack Ralph, look for his cucumber post. I'll leave a link in the show notes. Why do you think that's the one that all of a sudden gets eyeballs?
I suppose there's the rudeness aspect to it. I was holding it in a interesting way and sort of looking at it. I suppose I sort of asked a question, and I suppose it's maybe a little bit divisive as well. Some people love cucumbers, some people hate them, some people hate coriander, and like it sparked conversation between a lot of different people. Yeah, I think I've said this before, like, they say they don't want LinkedIn to be like Facebook, but those posts are the ones that get shared the most and get the most engagement and stuff. So it doesn't sort of relate. Like, if people didn't want that, those posts wouldn't get that amount of engagement. And yes, maybe it's meant to be a more professional platform, but we're all human. We all laugh at things. We see the funny side in it. And sometimes when you're scrolling through just ads, and sometimes you want that bit of a break and something to just take your mind off, and like, I'll just jump in the comments and have a little laugh for 5 minutes and then get back on with my work.
Maybe escape that reality a bit.
Yeah.
Look, there's a whole counterbalance, a counter movement on LinkedIn of people saying, we don't need these posts here, I don't need to see cucumbers and people's cat photos. This is a professional network. It's obviously moved beyond that. It is not the same as it was. I started in 2007, I think, and it was just it was an online CV, an online resume for my American listeners. That was all it was, and it has changed a million times, and it's definitely opened to being a little bit disrupted. And stand out from the beige. That's your other line. What to you is the beige on LinkedIn? We don't need to call it people. Just kind of what's the beige out there? Tell me.
It's just the continuous selling, the ice bath stuff, matcha tea, yoga.
You don't like ice baths? You don't like matcha?
No, not at all. I think what's hard now is there's so many people on LinkedIn and around the world, and everyone's got businesses and everyone's starting up new businesses and being solopreneurs and things, that the only way to stand out now is to lean into being yourself and offer something slightly different. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's like maybe a certain colors associated with you. Like, I follow different people on LinkedIn and there's certain colors, like as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh, it's that person. They can still be selling and stuff, but it's just they've had a bit more thought and a bit more creativity around how they're presenting what they're trying to present. And at the end of the day, we're all playing a game. We're vying for attention. Like, as much as people hate it and they want it to be this professional platform, whatever, what is it that I can do to make me stand out from someone else? And if that means me wearing a certain color or being slightly silly, taking a photo from a different angle, I'm going to do that because I need the attention. Like, we're all fighting for attention. We're all fighting for money. I need to do what I need to do to to get that attention at the end of the day.
Is that why you call yourself a reluctant solopreneur or reluctant entrepreneur?
I think I'm reluctant because I was always happy just letting other people worry about everything else. I very much like to just do my work and focus and get on. I think I probably would have been pretty good back in the days of like factories. I've got this task, I'm going to do it the best I can do it, and I don't have to worry about anything else. Why I'm so reluctant is you have to put yourself out there. A lot of the time, people put themselves out there, but don't put their full self out there. If they did, they lent into it a bit more, they'd see a lot more sort of results. Like lean into my self-deprecating humor because that's what I know. I sort of use it as a bit of a shield. You might be like an incredible emotional storyteller. Lean into that. If you've got that ability and that skill, you might be extremely knowledgeable in an area, but think, is there a way that I can present this in a more engaging, interesting way? Because I might understand it all, but people out there might not have a clue. So try and put it in a more interesting way to present that sort of information. I kind of don't like being in charge of everything. Obviously, in a normal 9-to-5 job, someone running the business could easily fire you or whatever, but it always felt a little bit safer to me. I don't know why, but it just let them deal with it. I'll just work my job and hopefully not get fired. Whereas now everything is on me. I need to get all the leads in. I need to be creating the content. I need to be having these sales conversations. I need to be getting out there. I need to start networking and doing all this stuff. And I need to do the client work. And I need to run everything else on top of that and sort out finances. And there's just this endless list. I think that's what I didn't like about it and why I never thought I'd ever go into being an entrepreneur myself. The flip side of it is I do enjoy the freedom it can give you. I like being able to take my boys to school in the morning and picking them up, and if there's an event on at the school, I can go to that. And maybe sometimes I'm like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go for a coffee in the morning and just chill for a bit in the morning. I know it's going to affect me later in other ways, but I can play around with my time how I see fit. It's just this constant juggling act. There's probably more I could be doing, but I also want some of that freedom. I don't just want to be work into the ground, Alex Hormozy style, lock yourself in a room, crack on. That's just not me. And I'm probably never going to be a millionaire. That's fine with me. I've got a life, I've got a family. That's the most important thing to me at the moment.
How do you balance time then? You're a family guy?
It's hard. Like I'm always learning. It's especially hard during the school holidays because the dad guilt is unbelievable.
I have no kids. You need to explain. What is dad guilt? Tell me. What is it? I don't know what that is.
The kids are at home and they want your attention and they want to be playing stuff and that, and you're like, I've got client call, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Wife's working at the same time, trying to juggle between the two of us, trying to find time to fit in and play with them during the day. But then also we've got work that we need to do, so some stuff has to get pushed into the evenings and stuff. But then equally, I don't want to be working late into the evening. I want to be able to put them to bed properly and things like that. So I'm still learning the balancing thing. I'm doing the best I can. I think sometimes I'll put work over family, and then sometimes I feel a bit bad for it. But then other times I'll try and prioritize and be like, no, that can wait till tomorrow. I'm going to spend time with family now, and that'll be tomorrow's problem, sort of thing. But yeah, I think the balancing is the hardest, especially during the holidays. That is probably the hardest time because they're at home most of the time and you've got to fit in a full day's work basically. So yeah, it's tough, but I think you just prioritize what feels right to you in the moment.
I saw a picture. You have your son turned 5, I think, a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to ask him, what does your dad do? What would he say?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if he fully understands what I do.
And here he is. Let's ask him.
I think my 8-year-old knows a bit more of what I do because I've been trying to teach him stuff as I'm going, because I'm like, whatever he chooses to do in future, if he chooses to be a solopreneur or whatever, if I can give him the base foundations of creating content and things like that, he's already off to a good start. So I've involved him with, like, I've made a video with him and he edited the whole thing. And I just was like, right, yeah, well, like, cut this bit, cut that bit, like, where do you think we should move bits? He loves doing that sort of stuff and learning that sort of stuff. My 5-year-old probably just thinks I'm a bit of a weirdo. Some of the pictures and stuff I have to do, he's probably like, I don't know what this guy does.
Yeah, he plays with fruits and veg. Maybe that's what he would say. You said he's helping you with some editing. Is he already getting his hands on kind of cutting and stuff?
So he helps me shoot some stuff. Like, I'm sort of teaching about different sort of camera angles and things, and I try and let him be a bit creative and like, how do you feel like we should best sort of frame it? And then something like CapCut is an incredible tool that's so simple for people to use, but you can get really cool results. There's so many like little tools in there, like cutting things out from backgrounds and things like that. And yeah, just getting him on that, learning the basics of basic cuts and putting little effects on and transitions and things like that. And I think it's important to be able to share what we do like with our kids, but also to give them that skill as well. If you're really good at websites or something, if you can teach your kids a little bit about what you're doing, why you're doing that sort of stuff, it's just going to give them knowledge going forward in the future that's going to help them on their journey, depending on what they decide to do.
Yeah, I like that. There's a book I read years ago, which some listeners might know. It's called The Strengths Finder by I think it's by Gallup, an organization called Gallup. The whole premise behind the book is everybody's so focused on what they don't do well, self-criticism and like working, like fixing things and optimizing this. And that book basically says, look, you can do that. That's fine, up to you. But why not focus on the 4 things, 5 things you already do massively well? Throw fuel on that, light that on fire, let that, because if you are already, let's say, great at storytelling, maybe you're very good at analytics, maybe you're very good at building things with your hands, why not just amplify that? And I think what you're doing with your son as well is a lovely example. And it goes to show that video editing has changed a lot. I mean, I'm a bit older than you are, but I remember one of my dad's friends was a video editor in the 80s, which was such an onerous job. I mean, it was amazing how they would literally, for the kids listening, cutting and pasting was literally cutting film and then taping that together. Like those kind of things. What are most people think about video now? Because it's getting a lot easier with AI, with new platforms. You can do it on your phone. What is the one thing that everybody gets wrong about video making?
Trying to outsource it all to AI at the moment, I think. And you're going to be like, obviously you will say that because you edit video, but I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people recently on LinkedIn like, oh my God, look at this amazing ad that I've done in 5 seconds. And I look at it, I'm like, are we seeing the same thing here? I saw one the other day, it was for a perfume or something. Do you see it? Like a building?
The building turns into
it zooms into the building and she's getting the lid off the bottle, but the lid changes about 3 times. And as she pulls it off, that lid then turns into a bottle while she's holding a bottle. And then it zooms out and the building flips into it. And the issue is, because there's so much to do now, everyone's looking for the quick wins and the quick fixes. And can I throw this in AI and get it done? AI can do a lot of good, but it also does a lot of bad. And if we're too reliant on it, you lose the actual skill of crafting a good story. And AI at the moment is amazing for the really funny videos, the silly
Yetis.
I've seen like Yetis and like hillbilly songs of Harry Potter and all that sort of stuff's like really fun and useful. I think AI could have a really good place in terms of B-roll and footage like that. I can't get out to a certain location, but I can film, like prompt something that looks relatively good. But I think a lot of people want the whole thing to be AI. And I want to be able to just prompt this thing in and just spit me out an ad or something. But it's not always the best results. And I think it comes across quite clinical in a way. Like, I just think it loses a lot of the source of what makes something good. And personable, and you can see someone's like really loves their craft and they've put time and effort into it rather than a couple of little words on a.
Maybe that's the thing that irks you, and I feel this. I feel a similar thing because you have a kind of a what I would like to call like a raw innate creativity, something, but people who not naturally haven't tapped into it, that muscle has not been flexed for years, not been worked. I think many people are outsourcing their creativity. So I like to keep the creativities mine. I use AI left and right, like a GPT and things like that, to help me take that out of my head, turn it into visuals or text and stuff like that. And maybe that's what we're feeling. We're feeling like it's almost like it's cheating, or it's not really there, or it has an off vibe when you've outsourced creativity to an algorithm, because it's the algorithm, as far as I understand it, is just whatever it can find online. It's existing materials anyway, and it lacks a bit of that personal creativity. But do you use AI, and where do you use it? Do you use it at all, or you're like a Luddite and like,
Oh no, I'm not one of them. I'm not silly. If you're not using it nowadays, what are you doing? It's such a great tool for speeding stuff up. I use it a lot for sort of formatting things. I'm not great. I was never great at English at school. I can get the stuff out of my head, but does it necessarily make sense in a coherent way in text, whatever? Maybe not all the time. Sometimes I've used it for, like, I've got a client where I do some of their YouTube. I've used it for bits, like elements of things in thumbnails. It's just easier to generate something and then manipulate it that way. Like, I'll still go into Photoshop and manipulate stuff, but
yeah,
rather than having to search for all stock images and trying to find one that's the right sort of thing, you can get relatively close in that way. I haven't leaned so much into the video side of it. Like, I don't do a lot of sort of motion graphics, so I'd like to do more of that sort of stuff. I've got basic sort of understanding, but it's just a lot of work. I'd like to be able to do more stuff with motion graphics and because that's just an area that I'm not as experienced in. So I think it could be good in that way, but then to get the best ones, the VO3 whatever, it's like 250 quid plus at the moment. Like, to
is
get
that per month or per year? What is that?
I think it's a month. I think it's 250 a
That's
month.
a
I
lot
might
of
be
money.
wrong, but I feel like the basic is 250 a month, and then there's like credits and stuff on top of that, which I think is probably producing the best sort of videos at the moment. Is
I've seen some of their work. It's pretty mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't ever fully outsource everything to AI, and
There's no fun in that anyway.
no.
If you're looking for an image of a brontosaurus on a skateboard holding a cucumber, you might not be able to find that in most stock imagery and footage banks. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you'd ever be able to find anything like that.
I've got a lightning round for you, especially for you.
Oh,
You did not see this one coming, but I've got some
not.
questions. Jack, it is time for a lightning round. Are you ready?
I'll try to be, yeah.
The lightning round.
Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
Or more coffee, I'd suppose. Milk and 2 sugars.
Lovely. First app you open in the morning.
Hate to say it, probably Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I
Excellent.
use it to get my daily news of what's been going on while I've been asleep.
Your daily doses of doom
Yeah.
on Twitter, on X. What song instantly lifts your mood?
I really like, it's probably a bit out there, Fly Like an Eagle by Seal, because it was in the movie Space Jam, and I love that as a kid. And it always is quite an uplifting, like, yeah, let's go.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl, definitely.
A guilty pleasure TV show that you are willing to admit to, or like Netflix or whatever you watch.
What I love, I haven't watched it for a long time, and there's so many series I don't know if I could ever catch up. It's Grey's Anatomy. Like, this Grey's Anatomy is like Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones. Like, no one is safe in that show. Like, it will tear you apart. You'll be crying in 5 minutes. Like, it is brutal.
I've never watched it. Mine was Golden Girls. What was the weirdest job you've ever had?
I was a doorman for a social club at 16, but I had to like lock up the whole building at night, so I had to check to make sure people had the right passes and stuff. It's probably not super weird, but yeah, I was basically 16, and the worst thing about it was when I had to lock up, the lights and stuff were in the back. So I had to lock everything up, go out the back, turn the lights off, and then come back in the dark. And that was not a fun experience.
I'm sure. I'm sure. What's your favorite snack during your workday slump?
Probably Pringles. They're just, yeah.
Don't your hands
Doesn't
get
give you
stuck?
any energy, but yeah. Yeah, I have to just tip it, and yeah, my hands are too big to to fit.
If you couldn't do what you're doing now, what would be your alternative career?
God, you really put me on the spot, yeah. I'll throw one out there, super random. A wrestler. Always wanted to be a wrestler. I was big into wrestling as a kid. I've got back into watching it recently as an adult, and I just think it'd be so cool to stand in front of these like tens of thousands of people that have paid to come and see you in this stadium just to see you wrestle. I think it, like, walking out must be an incredible experience.
Nice. Have you ever watched The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, I love the film.
It's a bit sad, but it is an interesting. It's an interesting insight on that world. What is one tip you have to get other solopreneurs to go from invisible gem to becoming more visible?
I suppose it's going to be the obvious thing that people hate is that authenticity of just lean into what makes you you. If you're funny, lean into being funny. If you're a great storyteller, lean into that. Use what you've got available that only you have. Your experience, whatever, is unique to you, and no one else can take that from you. So lean into that. There's not one size fits all business for everyone. You just need to find the people that fit with you and like you as a person and what you and your business are doing and your sort of philosophies behind it.
Yeah. Now more so than ever in a very, very noisy and highly competitive world. Where can people find you? Where should people go if they want to find more about Jack Ralph?
Only on LinkedIn at the moment. I want to start a YouTube at some point, but I think it's something that I've always wanted to do, so I'm holding off on it. I want to do it properly, so I feel like there's probably a bit of a fear there of actually just starting when it doesn't really matter. No one's going to watch it to start with, so I should probably just get on with it. But yeah, LinkedIn is where you'll see some crazy posts. Hopefully you have a laugh and learn something along the way.
Some of your action. Go connect with Jack. I'll leave the link in the show notes below. Jack, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This was a fun conversation. Give me lots to think about. I think it's very relatable to other people who are not in the 5 a.m. perfect lifestyle, $1 million deals before breakfast kind of crowd. Thank you for being on the show, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Before I leave you with my thoughts, I would just want to say thank you to Jack Ralph for taking the time to being part of this episode. I really enjoyed it. Make sure you connect with him. You can find him in the show notes below, where you also find some of the things that we talked about in this episode. You can dig deeper into that. And if you enjoy these kind of ideas, these kind of topics, know that I've got a newsletter called The Solo Sauce as well. Same name. And I'll leave the link in the show notes for you as well. All right, a little thought I want to leave you with. I know we talk a lot about authenticity, being authentic. It's a bit of a buzzword sometimes. But are you being authentic? Like, where can you bring a bit more of yourself to the table in what you do? Because I think the world could use a bit more of that, particularly, with AI, cookie cutter stuff. I think it's important that you bring a bit of yourself, particularly when you work for yourself. Like, you are the brand. Bring that to the table. Anyway, some thoughts for you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next episode.